If you're an entrepreneur and you're trying to scale to 10K a month, your business is growing, you're hitting like the 3 to 5K a month and you want to get to 10K a month, one of the big things that I see a lot of entrepreneurs fall into is they get stuck in the business. And if you're starting to get stuck in the business, it's typically down to one of these 4 reasons. And I'm going to be breaking down exactly what these 4 reasons are and how you can fix them. My name is Graham Singh. I'm the founder of GTM Academy. I run an academy with over 50 entrepreneurs. I work with entrepreneurs that are doing like exactly the level that you guys are at. And I see what the problems are. I see what the solutions are. I've worked with people that are doing up to 4 million a year. I get to see like exactly what they do differently compared to the entrepreneurs that don't scale, that don't grow. So I want to break down exactly what these 4 reasons are and how you can start to avoid them today. So the very first thing is that most entrepreneurs don't have a real vision of what they want. They don't actually know what they're looking for. What do you actually want from the business? You'll be surprised at the number of entrepreneurs that we've worked with that we've helped scale to 10K a month. And as soon as they hit 10K a month, they're like, I don't know what I want actually. Like, I don't know what I'm looking for anymore. Or I don't know if I want this or if I want that. Like, all these different things come up and they realize that the vision that they initially had was really weak. The truth is, there's a lot of entrepreneurs that hit this kind of problem of like not knowing what they want, not knowing exactly what kind of business they're trying to build really early stage as well. What do you actually want? What kind of business do you want to build? If you want to hit 50K a month, what is that going to require? What kind of business would that look like? What would that look like in terms of setup? What kind of systems would you have in place? What kind of staff would you have in place? And we've got like a really solid process that we take people through in terms of like, firstly, we're going to start off with like an overarching vision of the business. Like, what do you want this to look like? Then from your personal point of view, how do you want yourself to interact with the business, right? Because people think that the business and themselves are the same entity. You're not. You're 2 separate entities. You got to figure out how to work together. Sometimes the business is going to demand things from you. Sometimes you're going to demand things from the business. You've got to understand this relationship really well if you want to be successful. After we go through that, we'll go through marketing, sales, delivery, and operations. What does this look like for you? What does you want from marketing? What does you want from sales? Let's say you're getting all your leads through networking. Your marketing is all networking based. Great. Is that what you want your vision to be for the business? No. What do you want it to be? Paid ads. Okay, great. Then when you transition to you learn how to do paid ads or outsource them to a marketing agency. That's one of the big reasons why people get stuck in the business. They don't even know what they want, so they just do whatever's in front of them. That's the first reason why people get stuck in the business. The second reason is that people, when they start business, they typically get into business for like all the wrong reasons, right? They have problems personally and they think like, you know, like I'm going to prove this person wrong and like I want to show this and I want to do this stuff, and it's sort of like they've got this emotional baggage and they try to channel that through business. Another client that we signed, he signed on and he was like, I actually just want to prove other people wrong, but I want to prove my other previous business owners wrong. I'm show them that they were the problem and it wasn't me. That's such a poor reason to get into business because you then just get so consumed with like, again, what's in front of you. You're not thinking pragmatically. You're thinking of like, you're so caught up in your own emotions that you're like, I need to show this thing. I need to look a certain way. I need to like have all this stuff to be like the way that externally would be beneficial. From an actual strategic business point of view, you got no clue what's going on. And it's because you've brought all this emotional baggage into business. Business does not care about you. It does not care about how you feel. It does not care about your relationships. It does not care about everything else that's going on within your life. Literally, business is just transactional. That's all it is. Your success has got nothing to do with the emotions that you feel. Don't let those emotions come in and actually like take your attention off the ball. That's the second reason of why people get stuck in the business, because they don't actually deal with their own emotional baggage. If you're getting into business, one of the things that I strongly recommend that you do is you get a book and you start journaling in it. Alternatively, do what I do. I go for walks and I speak to myself. Like I just put my headphones in and I just do audio journaling, right? Which is just me talking to myself and saying like, okay, this is how I feel today. This is what's going on in the business. These are the things that I need to maybe look into a little bit more. And just going through that process, become more and more self-aware. You're much better at dealing with your emotions and it stops becoming a reason why you get stuck in the business. The third reason why people get stuck in the business is that they have super weak systems. They don't even run a business. They run a to-do list. And what I mean is that you've got no actual clear process. You've got no systems. You've got no SOPs. You've got no automation. You've got no clear flow charts of how the business works. Of course you're going to get stuck in, because every day you're just looking at like, which tasks have I got to pick out of thin air and then go and run them? How overwhelming is that going to be? What I really recommend is that if you're trying to build a business, have the most basic systems. Just like, okay, this is what our marketing process looks like. This is what our content system looks like. This is what our delivery system looks like. If you can't get these things in place, you're not going to be able to scale, because you don't even know what you need to do. If you don't know what you need to do, you definitely can't hire. You definitely can't automate things because you don't even know what you're doing. Sit down for a day, block out a whole whole day. You're like, oh, I don't have a day, I'm so busy. Of course you're so busy, right? Because you don't do these things that you need to do to be able to scale. Block out a whole day and just dedicate it to like write out every single process in your business. You will not believe how much clarity you'll get off the back of that. You'll have so much more clarity. Look, I'll show you ours. Like, this is a picture of our business mapped out on paper. We know each different section of it. We know what we need to improve. We know if we need to add anything else. We know what our numbers are for each different section. So we know the conversion rate. We know how much flow we're getting into the system. We know these things. The reason why we know these things is because we sat down and we did the work, and that allows us to understand, okay, how should we actually spend our time? What should we be focusing our attention on? What kind of systems and things, like what kind of automations do we want to add so that we can minimize our time? Now, just for context, here's a little thing that we've done recently that's really helped me. I used to spend my Saturdays creating loads of content, and every single weekend I would work Saturdays and Sundays. Now I can actually take time off on Saturdays. We realize like how much time is taken up. We realize like what systems it actually took. We realize that this is the process that we want to go through, and as a result, now I can say like, instead of me just sporadically doing content on Saturdays, we've hired an editor and a social media manager that actually supports us to get all of our outputs out on time. So if you don't have clear systems and processes, you are screwing yourself over massively. If you've got your systems and processes that you follow regularly and you've got them all listed out, you need to then make sure you've got numbers for each of them and say like, okay, what's the flow looking like? And then from there, you can identify the highest point of leverage. And this is exactly what we do when we audit businesses. We go through this process. We say like, what are the different steps? What's the area that you need to focus on most that's going to give you the highest leverage? And once you can do that, then immediately you're like, okay, perfect. I know what I need to do to grow the business. I know where my time and attention needs to be. That's step 3. Get some clear systems and processes in place. If you don't do this, you're really screwing yourself over. The very last thing is that point number 4 is not to do with like getting your calendar set up. It's actually just to do with boundaries, right? Because that's what calendar is. A calendar just helps you to set better boundaries. The boundary between this time and this time is dedicated to only focus on this. Problem is, most entrepreneurs can't do that. So if you can go through the other things that we've mentioned, right? So you get a really clear vision. You actually stop being so emotionally involved in the business. You set up your clear like your systems so you know exactly what processes are. If you at that point set better boundaries for yourself within the business and say, well, when I say I'm going to work on these things, I'm actually going to focus on that. If you can do that, you're in. Like you're set up in the right way, because then you can iterate. You can be like, oh, you know, like last week I focused my time on these things. However, it wasn't exactly what I needed to be. So this week I'm going to focus on these things instead. If you can start to do that, you set yourself up much better. The problem is most entrepreneurs don't stick to the boundaries. Why? Because firstly, their phone's pinging off all the time, and every time it pings off, they get distracted and they focus on something else. A client messages them, they get a phone call, whatever. It's like, well, of course you're not going to be able to focus. Of course you're not going to be able to grow. Imagine the comparison. And this is the big thing that entrepreneurs don't do enough of. You don't map things out over 12 months. You don't envision what things look like over 12 months. You just think about today, right? And this is what a lot of entrepreneurs that are stuck in the business do. If I ask you to picture myself who works for 4 hours on the business without causing distractions every single day, and I compare that to someone else's routine that's constantly getting messages, that's constantly getting calls, that's constantly like scrolling on Instagram and LinkedIn because they were going on there to do this one thing that was for the business, but now they're focused on something else, and then something else comes up. Over 12 months, who's going to win? Who's going to make more money? Who's going to have a better business? Who's going to feel more content with the work that they're doing? You know the answer. You're just not doing it for yourself. You need to be able to set better boundaries for working on the business. My recommendation, if you have to work like a 9 to 5 for your business, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m., take a 3-hour block and work on the business. So first thing you should be doing. Most people, a lot of them, I see this as a fault. A lot of people try to add things towards the end of the day, and the important stuff they put at the evening and the nighttime and stuff like that, which does work for some people. But the problem that a lot of them have is that by the time you get there, you're just mentally exhausted. I like to do the most important things first because that's where my brain has got the most capacity. That's where I can make the best decisions. That's where I'm not going to be distracted. So if you're a business owner and you're trying to scale, I really recommend that you get these 4 things unlocked. And the last thing, again, just setting better boundaries, man. If you're not sure about these 2 concepts and you want to know a little bit more about working on the business, we made another video as well, which we'll link in the description. But these are the key concepts that I just think are so important that so many people just overlook. If you enjoyed this video, if you got some action items, please do something about it. If you watch this video and you don't do anything and you don't change anything, it's completely pointless you watching this video in the first place. I'm a big believer that learning is changed action. If you don't change what you're doing as a result of watching this video, you shouldn't have bothered watching it. Like, you need to start changing your actions, not just thinking, not just talking. So that's it for this episode. If you did enjoy this, watch these other videos as well. I'm sure that they'll be helpful for you too. And I will catch you guys on the next episode of the IWIN series.